The way I ride a 250, a lot of people said that it could be quite dangerous me on a 450. I feel like the 450 is smoothing to me out. Yeah, I've gelled with it really well and I'm actually really enjoying it. And at the moment I feel like I'm the best I've been, so yeah, I'm excited for it. I like racing in England just because I was actually born here and my dad, he followed it when he was growing up and he knew the tracks and whatnot, so it's pretty cool. And yeah, since I've been in Europe, Revo's the team I've gelled with the most, and it's just more than a team for me, so it's worked out well, and obviously it showed in 19, so I'm excited to do it again with them. Yeah, last year was a bit of a stitch up, you could say. When Revo closed their doors in 19, it was later on in the year and there weren't too much available for 2020. So it left me in a bit of a predicament. So I went back to New Zealand. I signed with the factory Yamaha team to race in Australia, and then also got bikes through Josh Coppins in New Zealand, and then raced in New Zealand for Josh and Ben. So that was pretty good having the summer, or like your winter, but our summer in New Zealand and riding. And I was living with Townley for a few months, and we really worked on my craft. And then with COVID and everything, it didn't really work out. So I never actually raced a race for the Yamaha team in Australia, but I decided I was gonna fly to America. So went to America, got a bike off a friend, and was just training with my trainer there, Gareth Swanepoel, and just put in the work trying to get a spot for the outdoor series. And I tested for a team and talked to a lot of people, and I showed what I could do, and everyone was, I think, pretty stoked on it. But things didn't really work out the way I'd planned. So last minute I just came back to England to ride for Matt Smith and Revo. So that was good. We did one race, and then I got the call up to fill in for JM Honda at the GPs. So that was also good. And I feel like with the lack of preparation and riding on the 450, I felt like I did pretty well. And it was one of the Mantova rounds, I started third, and then at the end of the first lap, Prado and Febvre crashed together, so I was granted the lead and ended up leading lap after lap, and I think I ended up leading like 13 minutes of it, but it was just an unreal experience and something that you can't really get every day, but it helped me for the better. Like, I've been in GPs a few years now, so everyone really knows who I am, but it was good to show people what I was actually capable of, and a lot of people were just stoked for me. It led me to speak to a few teams, but at the moment, it's not the best industry to be in. Regardless, I'm always in conversation with Mark and Sam at Revo regardless. So we spoke, and then I was planning on doing the first 6 rounds Supercross, and then coming back and doing British. And I was working with Mark and Sam, seeing what we could do there and trying to put it all into place. But everything came too last minute, and with the COVID restrictions and whatnot, we had to pull the plan really last minute. So Mark pulled the trigger and said, "Oh, we'll go racing," and it ended up pretty good. Yeah, straight off the bat, the chassis felt really nice. I'm stoked on the way the bike handles. I feel like I can ride feet on the pegs and stand up and just turn when I want, which is something a lot different, so I'm really enjoying it.
I started racing, moved to a 450 class at the start of 2019, and yeah, unfortunately I only did a few races and then had a bad concussion again. And after so many concussions in my career, I was told by a professional that it was sort of time to knock the race on the head and yeah, and sort of try and maybe follow something different, a little bit safer. So I took his advice and did pretty much, stop riding. That was kind of it for me. But then after some time off, I realised how much I missed it, and I kind of wanted just to give it a go. And I felt sort of recovered from having over a year off the riding. And then Mark approached me with a deal to ride this year on the 450 again. So it was yeah, something that I couldn't turn down really. Really nice, to be fair. The Kawasaki feels very sort of, to me, it's quite consistent and like a comfy ride. So it's something that I've been able to jump back on and get quite a nice feel with straight away, which is nice. So yeah, I think obviously all the extras that the team can give, it's something that we can definitely go with and have some good potential from. I did race for Revo back in 2016 on the 250. Definitely, got a good relationship with Mark and Sam and everyone at Revo. We've yeah, definitely known them for quite a while now. Even back when they were sponsoring Roger when I was on 50 plan. So yeah, definitely known them for quite a few years now. Just to be consistent, really. Just to try and get some top tens, probably top fives in the British Championship. Really, I know it's a very stacked class this year. So yeah, definitely if I could break into the top five, I'd be pretty happy with that. Yeah, I would definitely like to race some MX1 GPs. So I've raced MX2 before, and I raced a lot of European races before. So my goals this year are to try and race some MX1 races and see how I got on there. But yeah, no, it's nice having Dunn as a teammate. He's got a pretty relaxed attitude to things. So yeah, it's always good fun. And from my point of view, obviously Dylan's younger than me, but there's definitely lots I can learn from Dylan. So just always trying to keep moving forward and keep progressing. Yeah, it's just nice to have a relaxed teammate that likes to have a bit of fun.
Yeah, obviously 2019 was a brilliant year for us. Taking the title and finishing second, and we could have come out as in the MX2 and take that #1 plate and try and defend that championship. But Dylan adapted so well to a 450 last year. There's no point. I would have said at the end of 19 when he wanted to consider going for 450 that he was going to hurt himself, because we've all seen his riding style. Everything's 110%, but he's just adapted so well to it. And I think, when you speak to him, you'll see. I think he said this is actually one of the best bikes he's ever ridden as this particular, 450 Kawasaki. He's so at the moment he's brimming with confidence. We've been with Austrian bikes for 7 years, starting back with Roger McGee in 14. And having spent 3 years with Roger before we went alone and had the Husky deal from 17 on. We obviously a few things changed within Revo at the end of 19, so we decided to take a year out. Had a good year in 20 with the company. We decided we need to go racing again. Approached Matt at Husqvarna UK. They could only have one team per brand, and so we just had to look elsewhere. And we've been back with Kawasaki in 2013, I think. We ran with Kawasaki, and so reached out to Ross and made this massive decision. We're going to go 450 with Dylan having adapted quite well, and yeah, Ross came on board straight away. And I think within 48 hours. We pretty much spoke to most of our major product suppliers, and they'd all said, yeah, we want to, love to be back on board. So we put the whole program together, and that's where we are today. The bikes are really good. We're just finishing now, just finished our engine program. We're just now in the process of doing final calibration, then to the track just to get the bikes sort of adapted and probably calibrated to a feel for the riders, really. Well, I think the biggest thing also, not so much to the manufacturer, but the fact that we've gone from a 250 to a 450 has been nice. Obviously a 250, you're looking for every ounce of horsepower you can get, and that comes with great expense. With a 450, sometimes it's a bit about taking some of that away for the rider, because it's such a strong bike to start off with out of the crate. For the last 7 years, we've obviously competed 250, The difference is obviously in the 250, you know, you're looking for every ounce of horsepower. The amount of engine development that has gone in over the recent years and to take us to where we were in 19 with a championship win was a massive investment. Going to the 450 series is a lot more simpler for us. You know, we don't have to extract every bit of horsepower out of the engine. The thing with the 450 is probably taking something away as opposed to putting it in or moving it. So for us this year, very simple. You know, we take a standard engine, we fully strip it down, as you can see over here. Everything's clean and inspected. These are brand new engines. From then we go to the tumbler machine with the transmission. The transmission we fully strip down. This actually shows half a transmission because we stole some gears from it. This shows a tumbled transmission with which has been fully tumbled, stripped and tumbled, gears missing. To show you the difference, these are the replacement gears that I've got to now tumble to reinstall, and you can actually see the difference within those gears, the finish. Obviously tumbling the gears takes a lot of the parasitic drag out of it, so the gears will spin a lot more freely and hopefully release a little bit more horsepower. Top of that then, from the base of the barrel, we start with the piston. At the moment we're sticking with the standard conrod. That's currently in development, so we will design a new conrod and a new pin. Our new piston is this one here, done by Mixology, which I have an involvement with Scott Breeder. This is a complete new piston design which will take the compression ratio up to 13.7 to 1, which is what we're targeting for. As a totally new design on the top to give much better combustion and burn. Next stage for us then would be obviously on the cylinder head. We've kept it very simple with just a very simple cleanup on the cylinder head. This shows a fully finished ported cylinder head, which we do. For now we're just retaining standard seats and guides. We've not bothered to move to a beryllium based seat or anything. The only thing on top that we've really replaced is we're going with a brand new valve spring. The current valve spring is quite good, but with the changes that we've made to valve timing, we've moved the power up another 600 RPM. So we just feel that the current exhaust spring isn't quite up to continued running at that RPM. So, we are changing the valve springs. Apart from that, the engine's pretty standard, and it's nice because, with the 250, there was so many special components that we used to have to manufacture after design, so it's been nice to go to the 450, and we're really looking forward to it. Once the engines are all done, they're broken in on the dyno, and that's somewhere what Sam does, and obviously we have to calibrate. The most critical thing really with these engines is the calibration, and is calibrating to the finished engine spec. So one thing I will step back to is that, like I said, we retain the standard camshafts, but what we have done is played with the actual valve, the centre lines of those cams and changing the overlap to see where we can move the power. The current 21 engine is very, very good in bottom end. It's been designed pretty much for bottom end, but it does have a tendency to run off a little bit flat towards the top, which is what we will counter and play with our development. So hopefully on track, riders like what we got, and we'll see how we go this season.
This is our dyno cell. We're going to do a few runs on Dylan's new race bike we've literally just built. But this is where really the magic happens. When we're finished with the engines across the road in the engine room, we'll install them in a bike. Obviously different components, we'll test, see what works, what doesn't. The dyno, it's just a good tool. I mean, dyno can give you great figures, but the rider can jump on the bike and say it's flat here and it's too aggressive here. So normally we get to roughly where we want to be on the dyno, and then we'll do a day on the track and try and do 3-4 different maps for a rider to feel. So if they want a bit more torque, they want less engine braking, they want it to rev on longer, a lot of that you can do with the calibration with the Vortex. We did a lot of testing with rephasing the standard cams. Spent a good couple of days trying to get them set to where we wanted to, and to be honest, we tested it and it made a little bit of power, but it was not justifiable for the effort to get them set. The dyno is so important to us here, predominantly because if there's ever an issue, you can always fix it on a dyno. if you went to the track, you could be there all day trying to find the issue, where on the dyno we can run it, that doesn't fix it, change it, run it, that doesn't fix it, change it, until we get to the bottom of it. If there's a fueling issue, we can plug a fuel pressure pump in. If we've got fuel pressure, then we know we need to either look at the injector or ECU maybe, if there's an issue there. So the dyno just plays a really important role in our development programme.
The British Championship for us is something we really want to try and support too. So the option came for us to, title sponsor the championship. We're hoping that it can be may continue. This isn't hopefully going to be a 1 year deal for us. We want this to continue into a 2-3 year deal, and everyone used to call it's the Max's Championship because it was synonymous with the brand. And I'm hoping that in the next couple of years people say it's the Revo Championship.